We got a little bit of a situation here. Local raceway. Quite a lot of police activity going on. Unfortunately, this is a common hangout for homeless, and they typically stand on the corner here, and they hold their sign and beg for money for anything that anybody will give to them. They sometimes even have brooms and the dustpans with the long handles, and they try to clean up the parking lot as a way of maybe like bartering with the gas station manager or attendant to allow them to stand there. But Okaloosa County, they try to make sure that I think they try to make sure that the homeless population isn't visible, isn't seen, isn't panhandling or requesting money. It seems like from just from instances of seeing people standing on street medians with their little signs and not realizing that there was a cop in the lane about to turn, and he would flash the lights and beep the siren to let them know, like, hey, look, you can't do that here. Par for the course. Sad state of affairs that this country is in. I want to share with you guys some information about some crazy weather that we're having. Even here, as you saw, the raindrops on my windshield. But even in other parts of the country, Utah, North Carolina, under state of emergency declarations, bad storms, flooding, urging people to potentially evacuate, leave certain cities, certain parts of the state, seek safer locations for them and their families. I just stopped here to get fuel as I was heading back home. And yeah, what's really going on, folks? Like, what's happening in the world? Do we have any good news to report? I think the good news is we still have time before the June 1st deadline for the potential debt ceiling collapse and crisis. Maybe there's a resolution there. Maybe there's a solution. I don't want to alarm anybody, but I do want people to be aware of the potential impacts that this could have on people's income, people's job, fixed income, particularly Social Security. It's a big deal. I think maybe a better understanding and grasp on how the whole system works and what even Social Security advocates are stating, with consideration for beneficiaries and recipients waiting on money from the U.S. Treasury. Gotta be prepared, folks. Interestingly enough, I had a new credit card sent to me, and I use it for the first time here pumping gas. And I had to go through the standard activation process to use the card, make sure it was me, this, that, and the other. And I was alerted to a change in the card's features and also my credit limit availability. Now, I do know that in some parts of the world, and even maybe in some parts of this country, there is a little bit of an epidemic going on, which is affecting people's credit card availability and their limits changing, decreasing. Some upwards of 99% reductions in their available credit. And the reason why I bring this up is because that may be somebody's fallback. That may be somebody's safety net. And if we're at a period in time where damaging events are occurring and happening on a regular basis, disruptions in people's income and benefits are likely. Major impacts to the job market, high inflation, food costs going up. I mean, people are telling me in person, people are sharing with me on Instagram direct message DMs, people are emailing me, people are chatting with my wife and I, Squirrel Tribe, on Patreon, that nothing is affordable. And don't get me started on the housing market. Don't get me started on the housing market and its lack of affordability. I don't know if that will ever come back. I'm just thinking as a young couple starting out in the world and wanting to build a family and a foundation and buy a home. When we did that, that was 13 years ago, 14 years ago. $130-something thousand got us a house. Nice house. It was okay. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. And that same house today is nearly $400,000. It's the same house, a little bit older, probably hasn't been upgraded or updated or anything, and it's nearly $400,000 for the same house. So then, you got to think, if that house increased in I don't even know if I want to say increased in value, increased in price by nearly 300%, has income increased by that much? The Fed wants you to believe that inflation is going to be under control. We're going to hit this target 2%. And we very may do just that. But what they don't really tell is the full story. And that over time, as we do the math, a 2% CPI year over year, month to date, in comparison to the year before, isn't really that much of an accomplishment. All the while, my wife continuously shares with me information and updates from her research and her studies and investigations of more and more companies being wiped out, jobs being eliminated. Part of a push by the Biden administration. She actually put that video up today on a new industry. And, it's funny because we were driving here in Florida. We were driving back to Florida from Georgia, from Atlanta. And we went through a little small town. I'm going to have to look up on the map and see what that town is. I want to say the town is probably northeast of Opp. If anybody's familiar with Opp, OPP. Town of Opp, not Naughty by Nature Opp, OPP. I got to figure out the name of it. But there was a little, it was like a mill. It was like a warehouse. It wasn't a warehouse, but it was like a manufacturing facility, and it was closed. It was shut down. And Michelle said, she goes, That probably was the lifeblood of this town. Most of the people here probably worked there, and now they've shut it down. It's closed. What are they going to do? Scary times. Scary times. Literally bad news around every corner that you're looking. It's sad. It's unfortunate. I came across a video today of a young man, and he was making, I think he said he was making about $80,000 a month on the side before he quit his main job. And now all he does is run this website, product as a service basically, and he's bringing in roughly $1.3 million a year. He lives a pretty modest lifestyle, but he's the extreme minority. The majority, as I understand it, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, man, you don't have any idea how much I would like to be proven wrong. But I believe the majority doesn't even make $80,000 a year. The reports, the updates, the headlines, the data that I see is that Americans are struggling. Credit card debt is climbing for those who even still happen to have a credit card available to use and haven't had their limits decreased and slashed to a fraction of a percentage of what they used to be at quite possibly the most important time that they would ever need it. But credit card companies also know that part of the plan is to make sure that people don't have the means available to repay these debts, so why allow them to rack them up? The banks, major CEOs, JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, the big Wall Street banks having private meetings with the Treasury, Janet Yellen, U.S. Treasury Secretary. Strategic planning, preparation for the next move, the next phase. Discretionary spending is down. Retail numbers are down. Automotive industry sales are down. But then I've also come across the opposite, but I also think that there's a lot of misinformation and fake news pumped out, manipulation of headlines and data and titles on major news sites like CNN. Sometimes the New York Times, New York Post, USA Today. But I'm seeing it a lot on Twitter. I don't know if Twitter is going to become the misinformation capital of the world as they allow so much freedom of speech, or is Twitter being targeted by opposition and competition to make it look bad? You just never know nowadays. You just never know. But I do want to address a question that I was presented by a viewer, a subscriber, a longtime subscriber. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Please hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. And they said, you know what? Why don't we just not play their game? Why don't we not play their game? Pay off your credit cards, cancel all your credit cards, live on cash. And so this guy here, he's a little upset with all the police parking in the way of the pumps. He ain't too happy about it. But I hear what you're saying, and it sounds great. It definitely sounds like, you know, a Dave Ramsey approach, strategy, method. But let's just say we look at this and analyze it for what it really is, right? When you close a credit card account, it ultimately will decrease your credit availability. And each time you do that, the balance that you may carry on any other card will ultimately exponentially increase your percentage of utilization, thus harming your credit score. Now, granted, there's the possible likelihood that we're moving towards a social credit score. Further limitations and restrictions implied on us all. As then we enter into a central bank digital currency era, CBDC, digital dollar. But then if you start closing the cards, then you're also going to start deleting your credit history as far as the age of your oldest accounts. And for those who want to put their foot down and say, I'll never use credit again, you have nothing to worry about. But I would say that in this current situation, in this current economic climate, in this current high level of uncertainty of what's lurking around the next corner, I wouldn't want to eliminate any possible resource that I may have available to me if I should ever need it unnecessarily. Granted, some of these banks are canceling credit cards, they're closing credit cards, they're cutting credit card limits by 99%. Long-time account holders who've never missed a payment. Odd stuff. But while also raising credit limits on other credit card holders without their request. There's a lot of weird stuff going on and a lot of lies being told around it all because they claim that they don't have access to your personal information or your employment data or your income or your tax returns or anything like that. But I can tell you guys right now, they do. They do. And they take peeks and they make adjustments based on their risk tolerance levels and anticipations of the future and the private talks that they have with government officials and other banks and the strategies and plans that are being put in motion behind closed doors, behind the curtains that we don't know about quite just yet. So maybe, perhaps the real state of emergency is our economy overall. Our ability to survive and earn an income, put food on the table, feed our families, stay healthy, protect ourselves, while any possible weapon that we could use to fight against that continuously gets struck down, taken away, suppressed, censored. It's a challenging time. I hope you guys are keeping your heads high. I hope you guys are maintaining a positive attitude as best you can. This is no doubt a struggle. We're going to try to work through it as best as possible. If you need somebody to talk to, feel free to reach out. Until next time, you guys take care. Be safe. I'll see you real soon.